It might be live. I might not. Let me know. Can you guys see or hear me right now? I think I'm talking to myself. There we go. Okay, you guys see me? Yay! Okay, before we get started, I have to kind of apologize because I planned on using better cameras for this, and it turned out I don't have a mini HDMI cable. How that happened, I don't know. But yeah, so I am using a really not great webcam, which is normally the one I would have on my face because, you know, it doesn't really matter if you can see my face clearly. But that's the one I have taped to a tripod. Yes, taped. I am going high tech right now. I have a really good live or webcam on its way and the HDMI cables, and it was supposed to be here by 8. It's not here. So at some point I'm probably gonna have to take off and run to the door to get my Amazon order. But either way, this is what we've got today. The next time I live stream, you guys will be able to see hopefully a lot better. So I'm sorry. Okay, so getting started. These pigment markers are light fast, which is not like normal markers, and I need to get myself off the screen because that is really distracting to watch yourself talk like 15 seconds after you said something. So these pigment markers are light fast, which is extremely unusual for markers. That is pretty much unheard of. Big deal there. Most markers, the alcohol-based markers, fade very, very quickly, so this is something that you can sell your work with. Let me see if I have the pad of paper. Winsor and Newton has their own pad, the pigment marker paper. It's nice to work on, but it's only 20 pounds. It is super, super flimsy. I mean, we're talking borderline tissue paper. So I'm not a huge fan of the paper. I like working on it. I just don't like how thin it is. So we've got these great light fast markers, which means we can sell our work, except the paper's really flimsy. So tonight I'm trying something different. I'm using the Yupo, someone correct me, I don't know how to say it, paper that I got in one of my smart art boxes a while back. That one is another paper that does work for this. If you're asking if I have Instagram, I do. It's Lisa, I think, _ Lachri. Probably should have posted over there about this, but, you know, doing this by myself, and I just can't multitask that well. Okay, so the paper that I'm using for this one, like I said, came out of my smart art box. It is, let's put it right side up, the Yupo, and that is in reverse, so you're seeing that at a kind of weird angle. But that is the paper that I'm using. You don't want to use regular marker paper for this because you need the pigment to kind of set on top of the paper. You don't want it to absorb in. It doesn't play nicely with regular paper. I've watched quite a few reviews where people were trying to make it work on other papers and it just doesn't blend right. You want this to set on the paper. So that paper is perfect, or again, their marker paper will also work. So getting started, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I am not a marker artist. I did one project with a goldfish and I loved it, and so we're gonna try something again with the frog. I wanna try to let some of the marker strokes show a little bit, unlike what I was trying to do on the goldfish. I saw someone do something with these. It was super impressionistic and it was gorgeous, so I'm really, really going, we'll see what happens. I first want to try something that I had that idea for while I was walking around getting rid of this. So when you get new products, don't worry about your first project being perfect. That isn't important at all. What you're doing is testing things. You're trying things out and experimenting. So I wanted to see what would happen if I took a marker. These ones have two ends. Actually, get it under there so you can see. You've got a chiseled end, and then you've got an end that is much smaller so you can do your smaller details. So I wanted to see what would happen, being that this is not waterproof, just to kind of show you how this stuff works. And you can smudge this out and smooth it with your finger. You can use brushes, whatever is convenient for you. I've got a few things to try over here with that. So you can smooth them out. I want to see, being that this is not waterproof, what happens when we put a few sprays with water on it. Let's see if it does anything fun. I kind of wanted to create the look of stars or some kind of interesting texture. Oh, we're starting to see some little bubbles. I may do that on my frog, but I wanted to test it out on this paper before I actually do that. Hey, Lindsay, I actually saw your review on these and it was so helpful. I actually saw that you had said you could use these with the alcohol-based markers, and so I contacted Winsor and Newton about that because on Dick Blick, it says not to. So I wanted to know why that was, because the people, I've seen other artists mix them with Copics, and they said that it's just a difference of the type of paper they require, basically. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, let's see what happens if I put a paper towel on it. Does that pull more up? Well, you get some interesting little looks. Let's add a little bit more water. We're at experiment stage. Whoop, that I think is going to be too much water. You can get some cool different effects. Oh, I like the dots from the paper towels. Okay, that could actually work for some of the texture of the frog skin. So let's move along and actually start the project. I probably should have tested that out before I wasted your guys' time with that. So for this background, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's try purple. Let's go. I like purple and green together, so we are just going to block in about where this purple is going to go. I'm going to outline him first just to make sure that I'm not making a horrible mess. My hand is totally in your way. I am sorry about that. Okay, so I am just going to make longer kind of brush strokes coming through here. I call it brush strokes. I'm just used to painting. I do the same when I work in colored pencil. I call them brush strokes. That is not the right term. So those of you who work in markers are probably so cringing right now watching how I do this because, like I said, don't know what I'm doing, but they blend. The really interesting thing is that they will reactivate too. Okay, so you know that Amazon order I told you I was waiting for? Yeah, it's here. Be right back. I need to go grab that. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So because these reactivate, it doesn't really matter that I wandered off and let them dry a little bit. You can see they just blend right in. Actually, you know what? Let's get creative and throw another color in there. Let's get some lighter pink. I'm putting these light colors and then I'm going to come through with my dark and blend that in with some of these. I'm just kind of making a mess right now. Now the cool thing about these, besides the fact that they're light fast, is they blend so well. They smudge into each other so beautifully. Now I can't claim to be an experienced marker artist, but these were way easier than when I tried blending Copics. I was terrible at it. Okay, made a horrible, ugly waste, or mess. Okay, now what color do I have here? Black. So I want to darken this up, and the one thing I saw a lot of people complain about with these, and I do see it as being a little bit annoying, is that because they're round, they roll all over the table as you're working. Very similar to paintbrushes. Okay, I do want to throw out there too for transparency, I did not buy this set. I bought some of the paper and I bought more of them because I liked them later on, but Winsor and Newton actually sent these to me to test out, so just to be transparent there so you guys know. Now I'm using, this is the white blender and it smudges everything together so pretty. They also have a colorless blender. We'll use that one too, just to see what happens. In here somewhere. I've got these all over the place. Here's the colorless blender. Would odorless, Darlene is asking, would odorless mineral spirits ruin it to use to blend? Yes, it would. These are not waterproof. You do not want to mix that in with this. It would just make a horrible mess. You're better, I mean, you can use water if you want to reactivate. It will lift off with that. You can get some cool effects with water, but I would not use paint thinner with this. These are not your usual alcohol markers. These ones, I believe it's ethanol is their base, but they're pigment. They're not dye base like the Copics that you see. Let's see what happens if I smudge that with my finger. Well, that gets a nice soft look. Okay, I'm liking this much better than the last time I tested this. Plus, I'm liking this paper because if I would have done this on the marker paper that it came with, it would have just, the paper would have wrinkled up like crazy. That paper warps really bad. This is nice. I need smaller fingers for the little edges. Oh, I'm excited about this right now because this is much, much better than I was expecting. I wasn't able, when I did the goldfish, some of you may have seen me post it on, I know I posted it on Instagram. I'm not sure if I posted it on Facebook, but I couldn't get the background very smooth. So I put a damask print over it, which I really liked the look of, but it wasn't my initial goal. I was trying to blend things smoothly. Yeah, it didn't work, but I wasn't using my hand either. Oh, that is just soft and pretty. Oh, happy day. Yeah, that is a lot better, and now I have black fingers, but that looks a lot, oh, I'm excited right now, like, if you can't tell, like, seriously excited about the results that just caused. Okay, so let's move on to the frog. My allergies are kicking in. I am apologizing for that. I'm going to have to actually sit here, take a piece of paper towel, and dab my nose occasionally. That's gross. Have fun watching that. Okay, so next we have, oh, there's I've got reference photos of this frog all over the place, so I just had to choose which one I wanted. I'm going to start with the lighter color. Now, I did see on some reviews that people were having different results with the smaller nib versus the chiseled end, where the smaller one was coming out much, much darker. Another thing with these is that you want to store them horizontally. You don't want to store them upright like you would with a lot of the other markers, because you want, I guess what people are saying is you want the pigment to spread evenly throughout the marker since you're going to be using both ends. So we'll start with the yellow and move on to orange. I'm not gonna lie, I was totally scared about that background. I did not think I was going to make anything look remotely decent with it. Now, I don't know. I'm looking at brushes around my studio. This one might work. Let's see what happens when I use this guy to blend. Oh, that's pretty. That works. This is a stiff, just a very white bristled brush. It's kind of like a synthetic hog hair. That blends nicely. Let's add some orange over here. This photo is one of the ones I got from Graphic Stock. They've got a lot of really neat tree frogs, so you'll probably see me draw these quite a bit. Let's try a red. I have a set of, I don't know, I want to say they're 24. I could sit here and count them, but that's just no fun. This is actually a little, because of the way that you can blend these, I don't feel like you have to have every single color. Like with colored pencil, I want every color. But with these, what I found even with the goldfish, once you start blending them, you can make so many other colors with them. So that's kind of a nice bonus that if you don't have the full set, it's not like you can't create a whole lot of really cool colors. And there are a lot of colors. The 24 isn't even half. I mean, they've got so many. Someone who knows could probably put in the comments how many the set comes with, but it's all, or the biggest set you can get. There are a lot. I am kind of excited next time I go to the art store to try some or pick up some other brushes to try with this too. Okay, we need to get some shadows in there. Oops. Nope, wrong end. Well, that's not a very pretty color. Nope. Like I said, you're just going to experiment, see what happens. I have another one. It's behind me somewhere. I bought a couple of other ones I forgot to get out. Nope, that's not really doing what I want. Here's the funny thing, you got, like, a lot of people don't realize when I'm drawing, everyone thinks I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't. Half the time I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to experiment until I get the results I want. Don't let your artwork intimidate you. Just play with it. Yeah, I have no idea what color I want to try here. Let's see, maybe one of the darker grays? This may end badly. Nope, not that end. Green would also be an option. Maybe this with red should work. Actually, I think I'll use that and just the red pen itself. There we go. Now I'm getting a nicer look of what I want. See what I mean? Like, I don't have the color that I wanted, but look how beautifully you can blend these to get what you need. I would recommend testing out on a separate piece of paper, not on your actual artwork like what I'm doing. But like I said, don't really care what this comes out like. I mean, I want it to be good, but I'm not going to freak out if it's not. I'm just playing. Yay, he can see us. Okay, let's see. Now, I wanted a highlight on the eye, and I kind of blended right through that. So let's see what happens if I take a paintbrush with water, if I'm able to lift that up a little bit. Because it's not waterproof, so in theory, it might work. I might just smudge. Oh, it works. It's not super bright, but better than what I had. Hey, that's kind of cool. I am not unhappy with that. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to leave the eyes a bit and start working on the area around it, and then I'll come back and clean up the edges of the eyes. So now we get to start playing with green. I don't know what size I want to use on this. Actually, I lied. I'm going to start with yellow and then blend into the green. Well, already, what little I've done is the best marker work I've ever done yet, so that's kind of encouraging. It makes me want to play with them even more. Let's use some of this aqua color. The paper that I'm using here is the Yupo or Yupo, Y-U-P-O. Oh, look at the pretty teal color. Okay, would it be terrible if I just changed this frog and made him all teal? We'll just have to use that color in a lot of places, because yay. I might create mud because I think there's still orange on this brush. Maybe I should rinse that out in between colors. Common sense. It's your friend, but apparently not mine. More green. That is a really pale green. It looks, or I expected it to be much darker. Probably didn't need the yellow. I could have just gone straight with this. Let's see how much darker this green is then. Oh, that one doesn't have any ink on its nib yet. Is it going to feed through if I push on it? How do you make ink come back out of a marker? Yes, I am that inexperienced with markers. Just color with it? Nothing. Huh, is there ink on the other side? Yeah, there's, okay, we'll just do the big side. Wow, that's bright. I'm going to have to use some red to tone that down. When you have a color that is super, super bright, a lot more so than you want, if you use its complementary color, it will neutralize it so it's not so wow. Okay, if it's dry, what do I do to fix that? I know that sounds like a stupid question, but seriously, don't know anything about markers. Okay. You guys are saying, Kristen says, yes, color with it. It's just stained and not inky. Okay. Thank you for that. Although, it looks like the chiseled end worked okay for getting detail. That was not as difficult as I would have expected. I'll keep playing with that end then. You can see as it blended in with the other colors, it softened out a lot. Plus, I still had a little bit of orange from when I was doing the eyes. So that helped to tone that green down so it wasn't so fluorescent. This is the same if you're using colored pencils and you're having a hard time, if they seem too bright, or like ink tints, I've had people ask about those. If they are too bright, mix it with its complementary color. You will get a nice neutral shade that way so it's not so fluorescent. Let's blend white in with that and see what happens. I want to lighten this area up. Oops. I guess I should actually clean the marker first. There we go. I'm not sure it's really lightening it like I would like, but kinda. It's adjusting the color just a bit. Okay, let's move on to the bottom part of his chin. That gets super dark, but I'm going to just start by putting white in the areas that I want to be fairly light. Okay, don't tell me 200 people are watching. That makes me nervous because I don't know what I'm doing here. Louise asked, quick question, what color do you use when you use Faber-Castell Polychromos for skin color? There is no one color. I use most of them, a minimum 25 colors, I would say. There's no way to have one single good skin color unless you're drawing cartoons or things that you want to be flat. If you want it to have dimension, you're going to use a lot of colors. And there are a lot of books out there that will tell you, use this color, that this is the skin color you're going to use. It may be a starting point, but don't limit yourself to that. It's going to take a lot of colors and you're going to pay attention to your values. You can have the same type of person, or the same person. Like if you put me in one light, I'll be kind of orange. You put me in another light and I may have purple on me depending on what the lighting is in that room for the same person. So there's too many factors to be able to say there's certain colors you're going to use. One color I almost always use would be the light flesh and caput mortem. Other than that, I use most of them. I'm glad you asked that, though, because it's a question that I get asked so often. And every time I see in one of these groups where people tell, like on the Facebook groups, oh, these are the colors you'll use, I'm like, facepalm. That is just not great advice. It's fine to get started on, but if you want your work to look realistic, there's no single skin color. I mean, the colored pencil work you saw me do of Jon Snow recently, in that reference photo, he was super, super pale, but I still used a minimum of 25 colors on him. Ooh, this is a nice one. Where'd this one come from? Ooh, that's a good color for this. So this portion of the frog is technically white, but it's cast in shadow, so I'm using a lot of these darker colors. And just kind of block that in. What did I miss? Valerie says, Lindsay, I think Lisa missed it. I'm now reading these. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask to work and focus on something I don't know what I'm doing on and read comments. I apologize if I miss your guys' comments. I am not intentionally ignoring anyone, I promise. Well, that's not what I expected that color to look like when it mixed in, but it'll work. I've got these deep shadows here, and if I would have thought in advance, I would have put my reference photo, because this one I could have shared with you guys as I was working. I will try to do that next time if it's something I have rights to, or rights to share the original photo of, I should say. Not all of the reference photos. I will always have copyright to make artwork from the reference photos that I use, but I don't always have rights to share the original photo. So that's why you usually won't see me share the photo itself. I can share a link to the photo, but normally that's about all that I can do. I would have thought this stiff brush would create a ton of brush strokes, and it's really not. It's working very well for this. I get so excited when I try something new, and then I want to go buy every accessory that might work for that supply. Do you guys do that? I did that with the pouring medium too. I tried it, I loved it, now I want to buy every single thing that might be good for it. Valerie, do you want to be the moderator? Is something going on that I'm missing that's bad? I think there's a way. Nope, that's not the way to do it. Just opened a screen I didn't want. Okay, I'm trying to see how... Okay, there's not an easy way for me to do that right now. I apologize if somebody is in the chat being terrible. Okay, back to the frog. Can you tell I have a hard time focusing? Like, ooh, shiny. Let's look over there. I'm liking that I don't really have to worry about my I want to say brush strokes still, my marker strokes, because the way that this blends, it just doesn't matter. I can pretty much scribble and then smooth everything out. Let's really darken some of this up. A little bit of black here, just on the areas that I really want to darken up more. I saw someone say, I am 12, Space Potato, I love your name. Hi, I'm only 12 and people are calling me an artist. Can a 12-year-old be an artist? Did you paint or draw something? The answer is yes, then yes, you are an artist. Just because, if you're not a professional artist, that doesn't mean you're not an artist. I have seen some of the most amazing, I've been honored enough to be able to teach some of the most amazing artists who are 12 and 13. Okay, what should I do next? Let's pull some of these deeper blues. I want more turquoise. Now that I'm working more, I am kind of wanting a few more colors. I may have to make some purchases. That's bright. Oh, nope, not black. Wrong color. Check the color in your hand before you hit the paper. That could have ended terribly. Okay, let's see his little nose. Probably should have used a lighter color for that one. Oh, he's fine. Let's smudge that out. Where's my white? I wish there was an easier, oh, I guess there is an easy way. So the small end is the end that does not have the sticker on. This one has a sticker. That is going to be the large end. So now I can easily tell which one I'm opening because I keep finding myself opening both sides. Okay, that white does show up pretty well. I'm just adding little dots to create a little bit of that texture for the frog's skin. let's move into his back so I can start working on the shadows. When I work, I jump around a lot. I don't finish any one area because it's hard to judge my values until I get other areas in. Now there, if you saw that right there, I had some of the purple background covering over part of the eye. It was no big deal because these reactivate. I just blended that right in. Which makes me happy because you just don't have to be that perfect. I am not blending with water. It is a dry brush. These have actually, there's a white blender and a colorless blender that I can use to reactivate these to get them more wet so that I can blend more. Someone asked about a fixative spray and I think I missed it. I'm only seeing people afterwards and I don't see it. Okay, somebody asked about a fixative spray. If you could ask again, I will try to watch that. I really like this paper. I ordered a bigger pad, a 9x12 pad of this and of the marker paper. I probably could have passed on the paper that's for this. This is really nice because it's like cardstock. It's really thick. Okay, let's start pulling in. Oh, wait, let's pull this back a little bit farther and then we'll pull in those shadows. And I'm going to start with this color. It's kind of a dark blue. We'll do the shadows that way and then I will start pulling in the darker colors on top of that. Joseph, you asked if I use spray fixative with colored pencils. I only use it if I'm working with the powder blender from brushandpencil.com. That one, because it's kind of powdery, you really do want to seal the pencils down. But if I'm working my usual way or a traditional way with just the odorless mineral spirits, I do not spray them with anything. Some of the fixatives can actually cause some pretty negative results with colored pencils, so make sure if you are going to use them that you test it on something small first, not your actual artwork, because not all pencils play nicely. I know Polychromos recommends that you don't use a spray fixative from what I've heard, or any fixative. It works fine with the brush and pencil powder blender, but the pencils themselves, when you're using them just by themselves, they really don't need it. I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying the smaller end of these markers. I really thought, when I did the goldfish, I used the chiseled end for almost everything. Just, I guess because I was having such a hard time blending. Now that I'm figuring this out, I am loving the small end. No, these don't seem to have a strong odor. I can kind of smell it. I mean, I don't think it'd be really healthy to sit there and huff them, but it's not bad. I didn't even notice it until you mentioned it. So I'm going to blend these two colors so they're soft. Look how great these blend. You can use the colorless blender, or even the white blender, but they really blend very well on their own too. Now, my initial goal when I started this tonight, I thought I would try to do something that was more impressionistic because I just assumed they were not going to blend this well. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm still going to have to try something more impressionistic, but this is definitely fun. Happy surprise. Now, if an area starts to dry and I can't smudge it, I'm just going to reactivate it with the colorless blender. You can use the white, but you will change the color a little bit. Colorless will not. Wait, what? Wrong end. Look at that shadow, how nicely that just blended in. I'm really having to contain myself so that I don't sit here and make squeeze sounds because I'm so happy right now. This is fun. I'm just going to pull that line over so that I can get a thinner line with the brush. So you really do use a lot of what you understand from painting can be used with this. Okay, let's start on, oh, I think this background should have had some color. Missing an area there behind his leg. My reference photo, this whole section behind him is just black, so that all fell in a shadow. So I missed it. Oops, too much black. Wipe that brush off. I don't want to smudge it too much into the frog. Okay. Let's see. Now I have to decide what area I want to move on to next. I guess we can continue on his belly. What color? Decisions. I'll go with that guy. I'm finding that I can blend one section into another pretty seamlessly too. That was a bit of a concern on the goldfish. I was having a hard time, like you could just see such harsh transitions from one to the next when I stopped on an area. Really not a problem now that I'm blending this way. See how it just reactivates whatever's next to it and blends really soft. That needs to be shadowed a lot. Let's go with a gray, not that end. You guys can't see, it's off camera a little bit, but pretty much every single time I pick up the marker and pull off the cap, it's the wrong end. You do want to watch with these. You can, because of the way that the inside is of the cap, you could easily damage the nib. So watch when you're putting them on or putting the cap back on that you're not just jamming them back together. Do little half circles. I'm not pushing very hard here for this shadow. Let's pull that down this direction. Not very pretty right now, but we'll leave that alone while I move on to, let's start his hand. That looks like fun. Actually, I wonder if I should do the branch that he's sitting on before I do his hand. That might be wise. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to leave his hands until we get the branch done. So we'll move on onto that back leg, though. Oh, that's cool. Paul Age 1 Art said that he got a message on his phone about the being live on YouTube. I didn't know it would do that. This was kind of a last minute decision of mine to do, so I didn't really do much promoting of it or posting anywhere. So I'm glad that you got to see that. I just rinsed this brush off for something I wanted to blend out, and I don't even know what it was. Okay, moving on. We'll just skip whatever it was I was going to do right there. You know your memory is bad when you forget what you're doing on a simple marker piece while the marker is in your hand. You just can't remember what you were going to do with it. Use some of the white for the light area, and I'll just blend that into the blue. Because I want a light blue, but I don't have anything lighter than that. But no big deal. I will just let those two blend together. Oh, it's so pretty. Can you tell it does not take much to make me super happy? Oh, pretty colors. I keep wiping my marker off on the paper towel out of habit where I would with a paintbrush, and I think I need to use the paper instead to make it last a little longer. That's probably a bad habit. These are not alcohol markers. They are pigment based. When I looked at the what do they call it? I want to call it a toxicology report, and that's not it, but where they tell you what ingredients are in it, the main other thing that, or one of the big ones that stood out was ethanol. But it's not your typical alcohol like what's in Copics and a lot of the others. Okay, onto that blue leg. Look how easily I get distracted. There's another area where the background had smudged into the frog, and I just blended that right in, so you get that nice smooth transition there. Oh, that's the end that didn't have ink yet. We'll mess with that later. Okay, we'll put some gray down for the shadow. This whole area back here is really dark. I'm gonna have to be careful because with this being as dark as I'm going, when I put the orange, I don't really want the orange to blend in with this color. So that's gonna be a bit of a challenge. We'll see how that goes. I probably should have done that first. We'll make it work. Shadow comes out this way. Yanapa plays MC. If you're asking me what markers I'd suggest for beginners, I can't tell you because I don't work in markers traditionally. I've never really had much interest. These ones interested me because they are light fast, but I've not tried any others to where I could give a suggestion. So hopefully somebody else can help you there. Well, that's blending really soft. It took me a little getting used to figure out how to get the soft blending with this brush, but it's getting easier. Like every little bit that I move on, it's a little bit easier for me to blend than the previous layer. I don't know how dark that is. Where did my test paper go? There it is. Oh, that's a good color. Actually, this color would be great for parts in here too. We'll mix some of that in. Oh good, it allowed me to lift some of that off too where I went too dark. You've got to be careful though because you can definitely lift areas that you don't want. Not a big deal, you can rework it, but it could cost you a little time if you're in a rush. Okay, back on to this guy. Whoop. Keep grabbing the end that has no color. Where is the white? I need to find a better way to organize these. They are just all over the desk. And a lot of the grays, they look very similar to the white marker. Okay, here we go. So I've got some of the frog's muscle there. Lighten up a few of these areas. I'm just using what the color that's on the tip is actually perfect for this area that I need just a little bit of color in. Okay, now I need to start doing the scary part where I darken this up a lot more. So this whole area is really almost black. And I'm going to come through on a lot of the frog and darken certain areas up a lot more than what I have. It's always scary to do it when you're up against white paper, but once I have more on here, it's going to be really obvious the areas that need to be much, much darker. Just smudge that a bit. Let's see, I've got a big glob here. I don't know why I have no color there. Whoop, wrong end. Actually, wrong marker altogether. That one will work. I'm gonna pull that right into the body here. And actually, I'm gonna use my white, if I can find it. Okay, couldn't have gone that far. There it is. I'm going to use the white and blend this out. I need to start getting some lighter areas on the body to kind of lift a bit. So by reactivating them, I'm letting the brush pull some of the pigment off the paper. Well, that's splotchy and messy. We'll have to rework that a bit. But I'm going to leave that for now. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead and come down to this part of the stick that he's on because that's going to be my answer. The orange feet, if I start with the orange and then when I'm blending the background, it's just going to be easier to get what's underneath the orange first so that I can keep the orange clean later. Because he needs little orange sticky feet. And I really don't know how I want to do that branch. I guess we'll start with just a brown and then put black over it and smudge them together to get a really dark color because I don't have a dark brown. I have this, which is not the end color that I'm going to want. Actually, I think I'm going to take a little bit of that purple that I used on my background and pull that into it too so that it feels like that purple is casting a glow on my branch. I'm going to outline everything first. Doesn't really matter if I stay perfectly inside the lines I found, which is nice. So you can see again, just like that background, I don't have to worry about if I've got all of these pencil marks, marker strokes, brush strokes, whatever. They don't matter. They're all going to completely blend out. I wasn't sure how well they'd blend out when I did the background bit. We're in luck. It worked. So let's now take some black because I want this to be pretty dark. Is this black? Yep, that's black. Markers, stay put. This whole corner is really dark on my reference photo. Well, that's ugly. Let's add purple. No, Two Worlds Wings, you do not have to be fast because it actually is pretty easy to just reactivate it with the colorless blender or even the white. And it takes a pretty long time to dry anyway. It doesn't soak into the paper. If you've used markers before, or alcohol-based markers, they soak into the paper, they dry faster, they blend, but it's just very different from how this is working. I don't feel rushed at all, which is nice. I also don't feel like this isn't for, I mean, like here, I don't know, again, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what this part's going to come out like. I don't know if it's a good idea to put pink or the purple. We'll find out, but it's forgiving. I can go back over it and lift areas up. Actually, let's try my finger again to smudge. Nope, I'm going to reactivate that. So this will actually show you what I was talking about. Here's the colorless blender. And I'm going to go over that area that was starting to dry a little bit. Got fingerprints all over. Watch that, because it does stay wet enough. If you've got fingerprints and you're putting that all over the paper, that could definitely be an issue. So there with the colorless blender, I've reactivated that, and I can use my finger and just smudge that out. I want to get a kind of streaky look, so I'm not going to do little circles like I did on the background. Probably went too dark on this, so I'll come back through and lift some of this. Now it's hard to get at the edges near the frog, so I'm going to switch to the brush and see if that works better. Yeah, that gives me a little bit more control there. Actually, let's use the colorless blender to push that black up to the feet. I don't want it to look like he's got a glow around his feet. That wouldn't be very cute. I want to make sure that that goes right up and touches where his toes are. But now it's a lot darker than I want, so I'm going to take the pinks and purples. I don't really care too much if I have brown in there, but I do want a different color. This is way darker than what I want. And that blends nicely. So we'll use some of that background color. Don't know that it looks like he's standing on a branch anymore, but whatever. He's got sticky feet. He could be sitting on anything. Fun fact, I actually used to have a tree frog. His name was Rib. His last name was Bit. I'm hilarious. I had him for 12 years. I didn't realize he was a White's tree frog. He lived a really long time. He was adorable. He would come out and sit on you. So I'm trying to paintbrush now to create streaks. That actually is lightening it up. My paintbrush is picking up a lot of the pigment. This is a Taklon bristled brush. With the stiff brush, I wasn't having it pick up as much. This Taklon softer brush is picking a lot of that pigment up, which actually kind of works because I went darker than I wanted here. Now, this area, see how I've got the dark? It's like super dark around the foot. So what I'm going to do is reactivate that with my colorless blender so that I can blend it out more and lift some of that up. So you can see what I mean by it being very forgiving, because that would have looked terrible. So let's see if we can't create a little bit of a look of wood grain, although that kind of looks cool. Let's see, how do I want to try this? Let's try first with the white. I may actually get more with the colorless blender, just creating some streaks in here. The colorless blender may do a better job of lifting some of this back off. Plant Garden 88 asked why I would choose markers instead of paint. Yes, just for variety. I like to try lots of different mediums. I've never been one who just liked one single medium. I get bored. I like to use lots of them. Markers just never interested me because, well, I was terrible the few times that I tried them. I had only tried Copics and a few other alcohol-based, but they aren't light fast, and so I couldn't create something that I was going to sell or that I wanted to last. Like even with the ink tints are not light fast, but they're still going to last. If I would have put them behind UV glass, they don't fade the same as what you see happen with markers. So that is my reason. I found the colorless blender. Knew it was here somewhere. Okay, that's working really good for creating streaks for the wood. Well, still doesn't look like wood, but I have streaks anyway. It gave me a different texture. We'll call it good. Okay, I don't know want to leave that how it is, just dark. I don't know. Should I keep messing with it? Hey, brown, let's add some of that. We will add all the colors. Sooner or later, it'll look decent. Oh, I like that better. This one on the photo is weird because this is such a flat area anyway. Colin asked, will I bring back artist blogs? Did they go somewhere? Am I missing? I think I'm missing something. I don't think they ever left. Did they? Is there something I don't know? The only thing that I used to do that I don't really do anymore are the social media blogs for artists. Just because you get to a point where you kind of run out of things to share. And so that's why we've moved on to the Q&A on Thursdays instead of those. But other than that, Saturdays are artist blogs. I mean, 2 of them are taken. One is going to be a smart art box each month, and one will be sharing everybody's group challenge artwork. That was too much detail. Let's soften that out. But the other 2 are going to be some sort of blog. And that has never changed. Okay, I'm going to add, I don't know what I'm going to do. Ooh, better. Yeah, whatever. I'm done with that background. Let's start on his feet. I'm bored. So I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm going to try to round his little toes back out because you can see where my background got a little out of control. I'm just starting by little circles because mine were getting too out of shape. Amia asks, when you put one color over another, does the color you're putting over it get on the marker? Absolutely. I think you can kind of, I don't know if you can see it on this camera, but it definitely does pick up. You have to kind of wipe it off on another part of the paper. They definitely spread. And even the paintbrush that you're seeing me use to smudge everything out, that is picking up color and spreading too. It definitely gets picked up. Okay, now we will go on to orange. And actually, speaking of that, the brush that I previously was using to blend, it's got a lot of pigment on it. I'm going to rinse that. I've got water next to me that I'm rinsing. And then I'm going to dry it off really well on a paper towel before I touch the paper. Because, again, this is not waterproof. You can reactivate it and pull areas off by adding water. So I need to make sure any brush that I use is totally dry, unless I want to pick up the previous layers. So hopefully that brush is dry enough now. Yeah, that's okay. And I'm just going to smudge that out. I liked the look that I got with smudging with my fingers, but that's not so practical on these little areas. I couldn't really see what I was doing. Let's darken some of that up with more red. Maybe a little bit more here to separate where his toe goes into the pad there. I'm just dabbing the brush to create a little bit of texture. And I'm going to leave that alone for a minute and go on to the green of his little arm. I'm excited because once I get these toes done and the arms, I can go through and adjust my contrast a bit more, darken some of this up, which will give him a lot more dimension. Right now he's very, very flat. Just going to add a little bit of blue, a couple of dots. Not that I'm going to leave those as dots, but I want that to just smudge in. I wasn't sure about doing the live stream without music because I normally have music or audiobook or something, but because I can sit here and talk to you guys, this is actually not bad at all. I don't feel like I'm in a room all by myself. I'm liking this. So thanks for being here and keeping me company. You can see a lot of this, it's kind of fuzzy looking. I'm going to come through and smooth that out once I get these colors blocked in. I don't know what's going on in this corner. I missed a whole little bit there. There are a few areas where I'm going to need little shine spots, but luckily I figured out on the eye that I can just lift some of that off with a paintbrush later on to create those. It's easier than trying to work around them. We'll have to see if putting a white marker over it will make it even brighter for the white dots. I'm not sure yet if it's going to brighten it up that much. We'll have to find out. Okay, I need to create a huge shadow on this arm now. That's not going to be dark enough. Nope, wrong end. You can see where it gets really well. I keep saying you can see. I don't know if you can see on this camera. Hopefully you will on the new one. But when it's really wet, it kind of spreads out on its own, almost like watercolor. It's really pretty. Okay, I think a little bit more. Well, that's kind of red. That is the wrong red. A little bit more on this foot, and then we'll get onto that last one, and then we can start working on the values. Well, that's muddy. I'm gonna clean that brush off. Okay, let's come up to this one. I will start by blocking in where the green goes. Wrong end. You can see I don't have to put a whole lot of orange. That's going to smudge in really well with what I already have down. Okay, I'm going to start defining around that toe now because this is all in shadow. actually, okay, so now we've got everything that's just loosely blocked in. Now I'm going to start hyping up contrast and really make him stand out more. I'm pretty much going to leave the background and the branch thingy he's sitting on alone, but I want to start defining everything. So we'll start with getting some shadows here under his little foot. And this is going to help define that a lot. Look what a difference just adding that little bit in some of these areas makes. It doesn't take a lot. You don't want to go overboard with it, but that little bit just makes a huge, huge difference. Just soften those edges a bit. Now notice when I'm blending this, I'm not just blending and going in circles in the whole thing. What's going to happen when you blend, and I see this a lot with acrylics, where an artist will blend and blend and blend, and they push all of the paint, or it would be the pigment in this part. Wow, I cannot think of the word. In this situation, there are the words. But you end up pushing all of the pigment out to an outer ring. You don't want to do that. I'm just softening those edges. See, this is one of the nice things when I'm editing video. I can cut all those stupid things I say out. You guys don't know how badly I follow all over my words. Makes me seem smarter, right? Look at that. Just that black that I did under that eye. Look how it pushed that eye forward. And yes, I am using straight black right now. It blends in with the other colors, so it's not really, really black, but it's really dark. I want to smudge a lot of these shadows so it fades, so I don't just have a harsh line there. I want it to fade from that shadow into the lighter portion. Look how I can thin that line out just by pulling the edge of it just a bit and rounding it towards that eye. Because these aren't going to give you that fine of a line, but I can just slightly pull that out. Just add a little bit and then use the brush to pull that. Again, I'm just going to smudge that outer edge. I'm leaving the inside of it alone. Let's see, being that I pulled some of this burgundy or magenta, purple, actually, what color is it? Mauve color into the background. I want to pull that into the frog too, especially on the shaded portions under his chin. I want to make sure he looks like he's a part of this scene and not just stuck on top of it. anytime you introduce a color, if you're using a reference photo and you're copying it very exact, if you decide that you're changing the background colors, make sure you use those background colors in your subject too. Otherwise, it just looks weird. Now his mouth, looks like I chopped part of it off. Where'd the white go? There it is. Wrong end. You can see here where the white has picked up a lot of the color. Look how much of that is on the marker. So you end up kind of wasting a lot trying to get them clean, but they're cleaned fast enough. It's not terrible. So I've got to reform the shape here a little bit. And I'm going to let that blend in with the background colors. So I'm letting that work for me and make my job a little easier where I was talking about needing to include some of that magenta. Now, I think the eye could definitely be way more bold now, so let's go ahead and start adding some darker colors. When we were looking at it up against just the white, it seemed like it was dark enough. Oh, that's got color on it too. It seemed like it was dark enough, but then once you get all of the other colors in, it's like, wow, that could use a little bit of an extra punch. So we're going to go back over this. I'm just dotting, because there is a lot of different texture. Well, it's not texture, it's just little designs in the eye there. We'll do that, and we'll come back on top with some red too. Watch that you've got your lids on all the way. I'm catching myself on a few of these where it was not pushed on the last time I used it. You do not want these to dry out. They are not terribly inexpensive. I am not going to blend out the detail that I'm doing on the eye there. Okay, I still need to do something about those fuzzy feet. He should not have fuzzy feet. So let's actually, I could just use the red. Define those a little bit better and then come back into it with the orange. I don't know what's going on with his back foot. It needs some help. Oops. See, I'm damaging the nib because I'm just jamming it into the cap. That's what I was talking about earlier. Be careful with so that you don't damage it. Yeah, that's what I'm catching myself doing now. This one has a lot of the previous color, so I need to clean that off. They do clean off easily, though. I've used markers in the past where no matter what I did, I could not get the previous color off. I think they were Liquitex paint markers that I had been talking about with that. So maybe not all markers do that, but these ones I'm not having any trouble getting clean. Okay, so this is the stage. You can see little areas here where I want to blend in. It just kind of, I've got white showing through. I want to make sure I get all of that covered, and I'm going to make him fade into this a bit. Okay, I'm going to now take the white brush and see if I can get some white dots back on him. So I'm going to add a little bit of water, dab it onto a paper towel so it's not totally saturated. And let's see, there were some shine marks on the toes. Oh, look how well that works, yay. How long have we been on here? I haven't even been watching. I imagine you could get really cool looks with the pulling the paint up with the water like this if you were painting an underwater scene and you wanted rays of light coming through. There are definitely a lot of potential really cool things you could do with this. Oh, that's a nice highlight there. So I'm just using water on the brush here, just pulling some of these areas up a bit. I thought I would end up trying out the marker paper, the Winsor and Newton marker paper that they make for this again to make sure which one I liked better. And just the one time of using the Yupo paper, I can say without a doubt I prefer this paper. It's not that you don't get great results on the Winsor and Newton paper, it's that that one warps and it's just so flimsy. Like I would have had to have taped it down, and even from what I'm seeing with other people who did tape theirs down, it still warped and didn't go back into shape. This one is very heavyweight, so not a problem. It's one of the reasons I love those smart art boxes. I have so many supplies that even if I don't like the project I made with them, those supplies I now know how to use, and I can use it with something else. Sorry, I've got to adjust. Kaneho commented about the angle. I mentioned earlier the setup is not what I had intended. My order for, I don't have the right HDMI cables as it turns out to use the cameras that I wanted, so I'm using the webcam on my laptop, and then the webcam that normally would be on my face is on my artwork. It's just not what I'd intended. I apologize. The next time the angles, everything will be better on my next live stream. This was just my first attempt. We'll see how it went and what I need to adjust for next time. Definitely have to be careful of what you lift off with these. Just dotting some of the texture in. He's a little bumpy. Okay, I got this marker out for a reason. There it is. Oops, wrong end. I think if you went through whatever I said most in this video, it would be wrong end. We'll use this guy. So my main focus right now is just cleaning up my edges, just finishing this up. I'm adding the dots, but I don't want them just to look like polka dots when I'm done, so I'm then using my finger just to kind of smudge them. And it's giving me a pretty cool texture for this. I don't know if you guys can see me doing it a lot, but when I get to this stage, I squint at my work a lot. What I'm doing is just, it makes it easier for you to see your values if things are bright enough, dark enough. So if you see me making funny faces, that's what I'm doing. Normally you guys don't see that in my other paintings, but it's pretty much what I do at the end of every single painting or drawing. Yeah, I think he's about done. What do you guys think? Maybe a little bit darker here. Could mess on it with it indefinitely. Nope, wrong end. I will definitely say, though, for someone who's never enjoyed working with marker, these markers have really changed my mind. I'm really enjoying working with them. When they contacted me and asked me if I wanted to test them or try them out, I thought, yeah, sure, no problem. I didn't think I'd really like them, though. That was a bit of a surprise to me just because of my previous experiences with markers. I have so much respect for those of you who worked with markers because, yeah, that's definitely not my forte. But this is fun. For these markers, I know they retail for $8 a piece. You're probably not going to pay that much. If you go to dickblick.com, I think they're like $5 something a piece. I want to say I spent about $5. So yeah, still expensive, but not as bad as it seems. Trying to see if there's anything else I want to add to this. Plant Garden 88 asks, now which one of us gets to have the frog? I mean, after all, we were the cheerleaders. You know, I bet you when I show my mom this tomorrow, she's going to claim it. She did that with my goldfish. I don't know, maybe I can save it and use it for a giveaway, though. That would be a fun giveaway over on my Facebook page. So if you're not already, go sign up over there. We'll go ahead and use this as a giveaway. Probably announce it this weekend. What day will I announce that? Oh, heck, I'll announce it tomorrow and we'll have it for a week or so that everyone can enter. So that sounds like fun. We just won't show it to my mom because I have a hard time telling her no whenever she wants something. True. You know what? Oh, I'm done with this. Let's go ahead and answer a few of these questions I'm getting through here. We've got a question from True Cameron 64. Wait, am I reading the right one? Asking, is it worth the extra money on polychromos? I love Prisma, but I go through them like crazy. I do have a video, as other people are telling you. I do have a video. If you look up Prismacolor versus polychromos and Lachri, it'll come up. I absolutely think it's worth it. I would not go back to Prismacolor. I have a set that I only use now when I'm doing comparison videos and to do little tests. But I got just so frustrated with them breaking constantly, and they're not all light fast. That's an issue. A lot of those in your set are not. So there were a lot of reasons that I don't like them. So yes, I definitely think that it's worth spending more for the polychromos. They last a lot longer too. I've got Kaneho asking for live streaming every Wednesday. It's a definite possibility. Right now, I'm working on a commission for a company. I can't share it with you guys until I think March. So how's that for being secretive? Once I can share those with you, or once I get done with these ones, then I will have work that I can show as I'm working on. So I'm thinking, yeah, it will probably be a weekly thing. I don't know if it'll be Wednesdays or Thursdays. It's going to depend on what I'm working on, so I don't want to give you a definite day. Aubrey asks if I will do videos on these now. Absolutely. Like I said, I went and bought more paper, the Yupo and then again the marker paper. I may do a comparison video just with those two. That way I have a reason to have bought the marker paper. But yes, I will definitely be doing more, and I want to start trying to do some more advanced things and see how far I can push it, because one of the problems that I had when I was looking for reviews, a lot of the reviewers were coming from an anime side, not so much with the more realism. I want to come through and show people that you can do realism with this medium, kind of like with ink tints. That was my feeling there. You weren't seeing a lot of realism done with ink tints, and so I wanted to show that side of the medium. So yeah, I definitely see myself doing more with these markers. This has been a lot of fun, and I kind of feel really lucky too, because Winsor and Newton asked me if there were other colors that I wanted to test out, so I may have to tell them yes so I can make more of these videos, because definitely was fun. Agent Too Easy asks if I would recommend these markers for beginners. Beginner at what? I'm a beginner at markers. This is only my second time ever of trying to complete something in marker. So in that case, absolutely. The thing is, these are very different than how you're going to work with Copics. So if this is something specifically that you're interested in, I would say start with them, get a feel for them, start understanding them, because I think that it's hard, from what I'm reading in a lot of the reviews, some of the artists who have traditionally been working or have more experience with the Copics are having a hard time switching to these because they blend so different. They are very different to work in. So I would say that they'd be fine for beginners. Marilyn Nicholas asks if I can do a portrait in acrylics. Probably, but I won't. One of the reasons that I started working in oils is because I don't like acrylic for portraits. I'll use it for an underpainting. I don't like them. I like them for just about everything else, but that is the one thing that I will generally do in oil. So probably not. I'm sorry. JPC 13 Art asks if I prefer the Lyra Rembrandt colored pencils over Prismas. I'm going to say feel dirty saying this, but it depends on what for. There were things that I like Prismas better for. Detail would be better. Getting certain things as dark as I wanted. I had a hard time with the Lyra Rembrandts. Some of the colors I just couldn't quite get dark enough. There were certain things I didn't like about them. Loved them for blending a background. I love them in combination with polychromos or luminance. If I had to choose to do an entire project just with polychromos or just with luminance, or that's not what you said either, just with the Lyra Rembrandt or just with the Prisma, I don't know. It would depend on what it is. I'm kind of leaning towards Prisma if that's the only pencil I'm going to use. Obviously, that would not be the case for me, but they're different. I mean, the Lyra Rembrandt are oil-based, whereas, well, I compare polychromos in those too, and it's not the same. I don't know. There were things that I didn't love with trying to get detail that were definitely frustrating me with the Lyra Rembrandts. They felt very waxy, so it was hard for me to get layers on top of layers, which is kind of a problem that you have with Prismacolor too. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards Prisma on that answer, and oh, that feels dirty to say. I'm sorry. So those watching this are probably like, why are there suddenly really quiet sections in this video? I am just going through and reading your guys' questions that are coming through. If you're watching this after the fact and wondering why there's pauses, that's why. I'm just looking through, so it's probably going to be really awkward on the video for anyone who watches them after. Ivan Pena Sucasa asks, do you prefer wax-based or oil-based? Depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing tons of teeny tiny fine detail like feathers, if I'm drawing birds and a lot of animals, I generally am going to prefer my oil-based with the polychromos. I can get finer detail. If I'm doing portraits, hands down wax-based. I, though, find it better just to combine the two so I can get the best of both worlds. Marta asks when my wow, it must be getting late. I'm starting to slur. Marta asks when my next live stream will be. Sometime next week, I'm assuming, unless I get bored this weekend and decide to live stream them too, but probably next week. Aubrey Gale, I'm saying that wrong and I am sorry, asks what my favorite medium is right now. Right now, the markers, I'm having a blast with these. It depends on what day you ask me. Normally, I mean, ink tints are a huge favorite of mine. If I could only ever work with one medium ever again, it would probably be acrylics. I feel like with acrylics, as long as I can use my airbrush with them, I can do just about anything with it. And I could paint portraits with them. It's just a lot harder. But it's, my phone is ringing. Why is my phone ringing? Somebody is calling me and I don't know why. I don't get calls. But anyway, I don't remember what the question was now. I got distracted. Oh, acrylics. Yeah, acrylic would probably be, if I could only go with one color or one medium from here on out, would be that, but I would hate to make that choice because I love working in so many different mediums. Catherine asks, since you're using the powder blender now, will you do another 16 by 20 inch colored pencil piece? Loved your tiger. Absolutely. That is, I did a large piece when I did the orcas and it went by so fast. Definitely, I feel a lot more bold to work on bigger pieces with the powder blender. So that I definitely will do. And I want to do a portrait with those coming up pretty soon. I haven't done, nope, not done a portrait with the powder blender yet. And Shelly is sniffing things. Apparently the things she sniffed didn't have a smell. Good to know. Let's see. JPC13 Art asks if there are specific colors of these markers that I think you should get as a starter. The colorless blender and the white for sure. Other than that, it's going to be totally up to you. This was the set of, I believe, 24, and it's a pretty good set of colors. You can see at the bottom of the live stream, I've got you can see the little tip, the mark. It's so hard to talk. The colors down there, that came with a really complete set. There was no point on this that I felt, oh, I really can't do that look because I don't have the right colors. You can blend them. It'd be easier if you just had the color, but you can blend them, so that's up to you. Yeah, Kristen says it's my mom calling, telling her that she'll have the frog. It could be. I don't think she's watching this, though, so we should be safe to use it for a giveaway. Joseph asks what the powder blender is. It's a different medium. You can go to brushandpencil.com and they have, it's a new way to blend colored pencil. It's a powder. It kind of makes the colored pencils behave a little bit more like soft pastels without the mess. You can get really, really smooth blending. If you just look up Lachri and powder blender, you'll come up with some videos where I've done those. Let's see. Joshua asks if I recommend drawing with watercolored pencils without water just for some of the vibrant colors. If you're just using watercolor, yes. If you're using them in combination with your wax and oil-based pencils, no. You don't want to use a water-based product with your oil-based or wax-based pencils. You're going to run into archival issues later on. So no, I would not mix those two. But using just a watercolor pencil and letting it set on top of your watercolor work, yeah, that's totally fine. Bethany says, Lisa, please, just say please, P-L-E-A-S-E, not please. Sorry. Pet peeve. Lisa, please read my message. I love your videos and I'm 11 and I will soon have a realistic drawing channel. That's awesome. I'm glad for you. This is so cool how easy it is for people now to get involved with making videos and just get started. If you, no matter what age you are, if you're even thinking about making videos, oh, maybe it's something I'll do one day, do it. My setup tonight is pretty tacky. I've got masking tape taping a webcam to a tripod and I'm using my computer for the other webcam. This is not the best equipment I'm using right now. I'm doing it anyway. It's still fun. So definitely, that is so cool that you're going to be doing an art channel. I'm excited for you. The Art of Joseph Fincham says, it is 10:30. That's like 1:30 p.m. for me. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, it's pretty early for me. You know me well. Are the tips interchangeable? For these markers, no, and they are also not refillable, and I know that's a negative that a lot of people have complained about. You cannot refill these. And no, there's no way, as far as I know, to change the tips out, so just be careful with them. Pete Hawks, you have a question about what the difference between Prismacolor markers and Copics are. I don't use markers, so I can't answer. I'm hoping somebody else will answer him in the comments, though, because I know you guys know more about markers than I do and probably have some good information there. Let's see. We've got, can you use colored pencil over them for details and stuff? Okay, it would depend on the paper you're using. The thing is, this paper is super, super slick. Actually, I've got colored pencils here. Let's do a little trial. I don't think it's going to stick well. So let's try with polychromos. We'll just grab a pencil. Oh, I was wrong. It shows up pretty well. That actually is not terrible. So yeah, you would, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. I don't know chemically if it would create any kind of an issue. That is something that I would say, I should use a color that would actually show up. I would say contact Winsor and Newton and ask them, because I know they have on their frequently asked questions page, somebody asked something, I want to say it was whether or not they could use oil paint over them or oil, and they said no. So it reacted weird. So I actually, next time I talk to them, because I will probably email them tomorrow, I will ask about that one, because it's obviously sticking. I didn't think it would on this paper, but it's sticking. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of layers, and you wouldn't want to blend with paint thinner over it because it would just lift the previous color off. But for little details, it at least works initially. As far as being archival, that we need to look into. Nono asks what the weight of the paper is. This one is 74 pound, and I think that I ordered a heavier weight card, so it's much more like cardstock, so you can get a heavyweight Yupo paper. But even with this is super thick. I am not at all unhappy with this weight. It worked really well with the markers. There was no warping at all. Kristen, you had said that both the Copics and the Prismacolor markers are good, that both are refillable, or that the Copics are refillable. Are the Prismas refillable? Just curious there. Aubrey asks if I will be streaming painting with acrylics. Absolutely. My plan is, once I get finished up with my little secret project, the commission I'm working on, I'm hoping to start streaming once a week or so, whatever I'm working on, whether it be inkjets, acrylics, colored pencil, whatever. I'm hoping to be able to just set up the camera and you guys can watch what I'm working on as I'm working on it for an hour or so. With those, I won't have a finished project because those are projects that take me days to finish, but you'll be able to see at least some real time, you know, for an hour or so, watch me work. Let's see, somebody, or Michael asked what Yupo paper is. It's a type of watercolor paper that doesn't allow ink or the watercolor to settle inside or soak into it. It kind of makes everything set on top of it. So how many of you guys now are going to try these markers? I'm just curious, or are at least interested in trying them, because I'm pretty excited myself. One person says everybody and their mother-in-law are starting an art channel. I really hope that my mother-in-law does not start an art channel. That wouldn't end well. I love my mother-in-law. That wouldn't be good. Okay, so we are at, what, an hour and a half now, so I think we're going to go ahead and, wow, I can't talk. Let's have tea. We should go ahead and probably wrap this up, and then, oh, that's a good question. Aubrey asked what happened to the bark boxes. I was doing those through my network, my YouTube network, and they were having them sent to me, and then they just stopped. I don't know what happened, but they stopped. And so I contacted my network and asked them about getting it started again, because if I have to, I'll buy them myself. I liked them enough. It's worth it to me to pay for them. My dogs had fun with them. But yeah, that's what happened there. And then they said they had a new, not bark box, but a different one that they were doing in another affiliate program. So they were going to sign me up for that. And then I just never heard back from them. My network sometimes is super helpful and sometimes not so much. Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight to you guys, or I will end up sitting here talking all night long because this is a lot of fun, but I actually have to go clean my house. That's not fun at all. But yeah, talking to you guys is definitely more fun. But if you have more questions about these markers, leave them in the comments section, because I will be talking to the company who makes these, and I would be more than happy. This is by Winsor and Newton. I would be more than happy to ask them. And I'm going to post a photo. From what I'm seeing on screen, this looks super dull compared to what it looks like in person. So I'm going to get a good photo and I'll post it in just a minute over on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So make sure to head over there if you want to see what this looked like really finished, because it seems to be a little bit different than what you're seeing on screen. More pink, more bright. So thank you guys so much for being here, and this was so much fun, and I'll be doing this again next week, I'm sure. I have no idea what we'll be doing next week though. Could be markers again, it could be something else. So again, thank you, and I will see you guys next time. I actually don't even know how to stop this stream. Oh, I'm impressive, aren't I? Where's the button? There we go. Okay, good night, guys.